You know, I really didn't want to do this one because the game's contents makes me very uncomfortable. But the series did way better than I expected. Shout out to all of you for the love and support. Especially Starstrike, the guy behind the modern day masterpiece of cinematography. Johnny Cage gently opens a door. So fine, you want one more for the road? Then let's get this done. A painfully unfunny recap of the Danganronpa games. Here we go again! Bonus part, Unstable Divorced Goat. Our story begins somewhere after the first game, with this tall glass of room temperature water named Komaru Naegi. Makoto had a sister this entire time, did you not see her? So Komaru had been imprisoned by someone she didn't know with no explanation as to why. Then one day, she gets a visit from Wolverine. No, she doesn't. Disney would never give us the rights. Komaru escapes her cell and goes through the worst burning building I've ever seen in my life, only to be saved by Byakuya and the Future Foundation. Before he can give all the context, Monokuma bots break in and attack Byakuya's men, and he's all like, "It's dangerous to go alone, take this!" Komaru sprints outside with her new hacking gun to discover the mod apocalypse has happened. While walking through Toa City, Komaru discovers a TV with a group of kids led by Lolly Joe Swanson. She introduces them as the Warriors of Hope, who are determined to take over Toa City and kill every grown-up they can find. So basically, codename Kids Next Door if they had a bad case of bloodlust. Lore time. A riot broke out at Hope's Peak that resulted in the end of the world, minus humanity being wiped out. As for Komaru, she got kidnapped after a home invasion just for a motive for Makoto to play the killing game. After getting directions to a helicopter, we're filled in that Toa City is an island controlled by a corporation after the tragedy. Children and islands do not go together. Speaking of children, one of them interrupts with a cult of Monokumas. The rescue team get torn alive and the helicopter gets hijacked. By some miracle, Komaru survives the crash, but she still ends up collapsing. This is a horrible frame. And it's not even a top contender for the worst one. Waking up from a 2-day coma, Komaru comes face to face with Nagito, and he's all like, "I've legally changed my name to Servant. Also, here's your megaphone back." We then finally confront the Warriors of Hope, consisting of the Ginger Minja, the Blue Brainiac, Depresso Espresso, and Takacha Predator. And of course there's Monica too, but I already gave her a nickname. With all of their greetings out of the way, they're like, "We're gonna play a game called Who Can Kill You First?" To counter the obligatory "I'm not playing" response, Komaru is given a wristband that will explode if she tries to remove it. Leave it to Nagito to make everyone's life worse. Komaru gets dropped out of the sky completely unprepared, but then she's saved by Toko, who can now switch between Genocider and her normal personality just by tasing herself. After some introductions, Toko explains the Genocider stuff and that she's controlling her split personality a lot better now. As it turns out, she's also just an intern for the Future Foundation and won't be promoted until she can fully control Genocider and not kill people. And then in typical Toko fashion, she starts having weird fantasies about Byakuya again. Now, I would make fun of her for this, but in the previous recap, I joked about wanting to make sweet sugary love to Miyu, so I guess I'm just as bad as she is. Anyway, Toko's all like, "Master's been kidnapped, we have to save him." And Komaru's all like, "Okay, but he's still not gonna marry you." Unfortunately, neither of them know how to get off the island, so they start looking for a bridge. They fight some more Monokumas along the way, and then they come across another captive named Yuta, who just so happens to be Aoi's brother. The bridge has been destroyed, but he doesn't care. He swims through with ease, and then his wristband blows up. Why are you crying? He only got 2 minutes of screen time. You can't have gotten that attached to him already. So Toko's like, "Enough waterworks, let's try the subway instead." But it's no ordinary subway, it's the Rome Colosseum. Masaru's there, and he's all like, "Look at my pile of dead adults." And Komaru's all like, "You're gonna become an adult one day too, dumbass." And Masaru's like, "Nuh-uh, I'm gonna die as a kid." And then he starts getting PTSD over the beatings he suffered from his alcoholic father. We add to that trauma by beating him too, and then the Monokuma kids turn on him for losing. Somewhere else, the Warriors of Hope are mourning for Masaru, except for Nagisa, who's all like, "You guys know he might not actually be dead, right?" And Monika's all like, "Well, he's dead to me. Anyway, you're the new leader. I'm gonna go do stuff and things for reasons I won't explain." Komaru and Toko fight off more Monokumas and make it through a collapsing tunnel before meeting these kids holding a TV. On said TV is Jotaro, and he tells them that they can't leave the city or else the wristbands will blow up. I mean, they should have known that already. Yuta tried to do it, and look what happened. Jotaro shows them the adults he's killed and turned into puppets, without a single regret, mind you. This guy was so used to being hated throughout his whole life that he learned to love it, so he might as well go all out. Later down the line, our heroes rescue what they thought was a person, but was actually a completely white Monokuma named Shirakuma. Surprisingly, Shirakuma is really nice and tells them about a secret base where surviving adults have hidden. Lo and behold, he was telling the truth, and they meet the resistance, one of which is Hiroko Hagakure, Yasuhiro's mother. Shirakuma explains more about the Warriors of Hope and how they came from a different school that only allowed child prodigies. They were separated from the other kids into a class for troublemakers and learned to use their talents for evil, killing without regrets. And then he shows up. There he is, everybody. Haiji Toa. the leader of the resistance and the most hated character in the franchise. So Toko asks him a bunch of things, but he doesn't know shit because he's still new. His dad would have known, but he went missing. All goes well until Toko's role with the Future Foundation is revealed, and Jeffrey Epstein over here tells him to get the fuck off his island. Good! I don't want to be near you anyway. We all know what you did. Shirakuma then shows a laptop to contact the Future Foundation, but the signal's dodgy, so they have to move to higher ground. They head to Toa Tower, only for Jotaro to stop them in their tracks. Toko gets suspicious about Shirakuma's plan, but Komaru's like, nah, he's totally chill. After an encounter with our Lord and Savior, Bang Monokuma, they find another man with a wristband, and he turns out to be Chihiro's father, Taichi Fujisaki. He bypasses the security for us, and then he gets mauled. If I had a nickel for every time we met a relative at the first game's cast that died immediately, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice, right? One elevator ride later, we have a showdown with Jotaro. Toko's all like, so why do you hide your face anyway? Tell him, Patrick!
He was so ugly that everyone died.
Jotaro tells them about how the Warriors' Revolution kickstarted because of a certain Queen of Despair before unveiling a giant robot. We beat said robot, the Monokumas attack him, and the mask comes off, revealing he was gaslighted into believing he was ugly. Komaru and Toko finally reach the top of the tower to contact the Future Foundation, and of course, Makoto is the one that picks up.
Oh, there's a big surprise!
Makoto recaps the events of the first game and reveals that every prisoner had some kind of relation to his class. They only recently learned that Komaru's apartment was where all the captives were being held, hence why Byakuya showed up. Apparently, the reason Byakuya got captured was to be a hostage so the Future Foundation can't interfere or else he'll be executed. And Toko threatens Makoto with, then don't do anything or your sister gets it. Wow, some friend you are. All of a sudden, the lights go out like the Undertaker's come to visit and the 2 girls are forced to leave. Meanwhile, the Warriors of Hope mourn Jotaro, and Kotoko has a mental breakdown, which Monica makes worse by saying the word gentle. Gentle is Kotoko's trigger word, which gives her PTSD from her days as a child actress. I'm not showing this, you can already guess what happened. Nagisa comes back and reveals he shut off communications before suggesting they use them to find the adults and continue their massacre. And thus, he introduces them to Kurakuma, a black gangster Monokuma and the polar opposite to Shirakuma. I'm gonna be honest with you, he doesn't really do anything here, but you'll see him again later anyway. Our heroes escape the tower and meet up with Shirakuma again, who tells them that the resistance is planning their next move. Back at the hideout, Haiji explains none of the adults have small kids, and that's not a coincidence because they all have to kill their parents. Toko berates them for being weak, and Komaru fights back because Toko doesn't know what it's like to be weak, leading to a disagreement. Don't take their side, you have no idea what I'm going through! Well, you shouldn't treat everybody but your delusional crush like crap! I am the only reason you have survived this long! The real survival here is having to endure your stink 24/7! You literally threatened to kill me! And I'll do it again! It wasn't just a minor crash out!
Did someone say minors?
The arguing stops when the Monokumas break in and start purging the adults, so they have to put aside their differences to team up once again. Ungrateful for their efforts, Haiji accuses them of being followed and has them locked up and separated. Kotoko visits Komaru's cell and she's like, I'm gonna let you escape because I think you're pretty cute. But then she's like, just kidding, bitch! And shoots her with a pair of dentures. And then she starts telling her a backstory about her dad. Why do this now when she's out cold? As for Toko, she sneezes due to the dust in her cell and Genocider comes out, breaking out to find Komaru. She then steals some items from the kids and then runs off. When Komaru wakes up again, she finds herself strapped to Kotoko's groping machine, which turns into a very questionable minigame. Okay, I don't kink shame, alright? As long as it's not illegal, have as many weird fetishes as you like. But is it too much to ask to not bring children into it? Thankfully, Toko arrives on the train and makes short work of Kotoko. The train crashes and Komaru is freed. They hug it out and Toko turns back to normal, but Kotoko's not done yet. She vents her frustrations about her past again, and due to none of the adults helping her with her trauma, she's got absolutely no sympathy for them. Anyway, giant robot shows up, we kill it, and then Genocider saves Kotoko from the Monokuma kids getting their grubby mitts all over her. Switching back to Toko, she interrogates her about where Byakuya is before Nagisa crashes the party. He tries to justify their actions by explaining that the adults broke them, and out of fear, they have to kill them to secure peace for kids. Komaru says even though she feels bad for them, fighting fire with fire isn't the way to go, and Nagisa claims the 2 of them already ruined the revolution enough so they can just leave as long as they stop. He takes off Komaru's bracelet as promised, unaware that Nagito is spying on them. Thankful for their cooperation, Nagisa reveals a secret way to get out of town that he can take her to. Kotoko's like, Monica's gonna be very cross about this, and Nagisa's like, bitch, do it look like I care? Meanwhile, in Monica's satanic cave of wonders... Law time again. Nagisa's parents gave him the all work and no play treatment, even resorting to drugs so he wouldn't stop studying. His father was a teacher at Hope's Peak who researched the youth's talent and put him under pressure until he cracked from overstimulation. Despite all of this, Nagisa thought he got off pretty easy compared to the others, like Monica, who had her legs broken because her family got jealous. The 5 abused kids decided to commit die by jumping off the school building, but then Junko comes along and like, you know, why unalive yourselves when you could just join me? And thus, they were brainwashed and became the Warriors of Hope, motivated by their hate and killing their own parents in the process. After Junko bit the big one, Monaca took over as the leader and gave them the Monokumas to keep their dream of an adult-free world alive. On their way out, Nagito gets in the way and he's like,
Yeah, sorry, I was spying on you guys and I know what you're up to.
Where's that one track that plays whenever Nagito does something stupid? Oh, here it is! So Nagito scolds Nagisa for learning Monika's choosing the game over their dream, and then he expresses how disappointed he is with Toko. Why, you ask? Because they made a deal with each other from the start. He explains the deal was for Toko to take Komaru to the children's base, and he'd grant Byakuya his freedom in return. Turns out, Toko and Komaru's first meeting wasn't a coincidence because of this, and neither was giving Komaru her hacking gun back. The game of the kids hunting her down was also a test to help her grow, all because of Makoto apparently. And that's due to Makoto becoming the ultimate hope by defeating Junko. Komaru was so inferior to Makoto that Nagito decided to set all of this up to see her overcome the despair and become the hope symbol just like Makoto. This is why he can't let her leave, because she still needs to defeat the final boss and become the hope symbol that she was meant to be. Toko sadly confesses that all of this is true before switching the genocider only to lose anyway because main character. Never mind, we learn Toko lost on purpose so Komaru can escape, so Nagito forces her to change back, but when she does, she cuts his legs instead. She finally goes to kill him after all the bullshit, but Komaru stops her like, don't do it, your master won't like that, and she's like, okay. They interrogate Nagito, who's still sitting there like Vince McMahon when he tore both his quads, and he reveals how to free Byakuya. He also says that he's got a partner, doesn't say who it is, and tells him that the HQ is in Toa Hills, but using the front door is a death wish. As our heroes leave, Nagisa returns to get his hands on Nagito and make him confess his betrayal. That's when Monaca drops by and reveals that she was the one working with Nagito. And then she's like, I never really cared about that kid's paradise to begin with, I just want to be the next Junko. And then we get a CG of them kissing! What on God's green earth is wrong with you, Japan? Look, I get it, your age of consent laws used to be different, but that doesn't make this okay! Nagisa delivers the most justifiable bitch slap, but Monaca tells him he was never worth any expectations to begin with, going against everything he's been told his entire life. Back with Komaru and Toko, the resistance hideout is getting attacked again. They find Shirokuma, he says bye-bye with a big boom boom, and Haiji is still miserable to see them, but he lets them stay because he knows now that they're not spies. They find Shirokuma's disembodied head, and finally willing to fight back, Haiji reveals that he's got a trump card. He then gives them his motorcycle and leads them to a factory creating all the Monokumas. Haiji finally unveils his trump card, which turns out to be a Godzilla-sized Monokuma named Big Bang Monokuma. After being called out, Haiji explains the Monokumas were originally meant to be maid robots and the big one was made to protect the city. Nagisa crashes in and crashes out, they crush his robot and then the robot crushes him. Haiji fires up Big Bang Monokuma and it scares the kids into submission while tearing up all the other Monokumas. Nagito tells Monaca he's leaving before warning her that a threat is coming, but she doesn't care because things are still going as planned. Nagito is fine with this, starts rambling again, blah blah blah, hope always wins, and then he fucks off. Before Haiji can command his army of adults to attack the kids, Hiroko comes back holding Shirokuma's head. Instead of having a war that no one will win, Shirokuma mentions that the Monokumas are being controlled by a device somewhere. If they can get to the HQ at Toa Hills in time and destroy the device, the kids will lose their army. After reaching the building, Komaru learns the Monokuma kids are being mind-controlled by Monaca. Haiji catches up because there were too many of them to handle at once, even for Big Bang Monokuma. They find Haiji's dead dad and have to use his eyes to get into the elevator, only to get surprised by the ghost of his severed head. I've said it 3 times already, and I'll say it once more. Nothing makes sense in Danganronpa. The ghost reveals through Komaru that Monaca is actually Haiji's stepsister, and she must be stopped at all costs. Kotoko happens to be there, and she explains Monika's betrayal as well as everything bad that happened to the warriors was her doing. On top of this, Monaca still has the device controlling the Monokumas, and Byakuya's location is finally revealed. Later down the line, they find a torture chamber where they filmed killing the resistance members' families to try luring them out. They also discover an empty throne room with a ladder that leads to Monika's room, which has Junko literally everywhere. Is this where the Sayaka guy got his inspiration? Anyway, they climb a scaffolding, get up to the airship, and meet Kurokuma, just in case you forgot he existed. And all he does is just let them through, where Monaca decides it's finally time to take a stand.
Brother, this guy stinks!
So yeah, as it turns out, Monaca wasn't even paralyzed to begin with. Komaru asks her why she faked being handicapped, and Monaca simply responds that it's easier to manipulate people who feel bad for you. I want to punt this bitch so badly. Besides the lore dumps we already know, Monaca says Komaru is the successor and admits to being the CEO controlling everything. She summons yet another big robot, gets her ass kicked on live TV, Kurokuma blows up, and she finally hands over the device. Kotoko and Haiji come in and berate Monaca like the hellspawn she is and force her to reveal the truth to everyone. With that, Monaca finally explains everything. Let's do a quick fire round of all of her sins. She wasn't going to jump off with the other warriors like they planned. She allowed Junko to take advantage and valued her over anyone else. She created all the Monokumas roaming around. She lied about their purpose to Haiji. She helped cause the tragedy to happen. She blackmailed her own father to make anti-Monokuma weapons. She sold her weapons for the sake of profit, and she took control after Junko died just to be her successor. But as we just learned, there was a change of plans. As it turns out, if the device was broken, all of the kids would die. But if not, they would get to live and kill the adults. Monaca says that Komaru was going to be the new successor to Junko instead of her for ironic reasons and a little bit of sibling rivalry sprinkled on top. For one final motive, Monaca shows Komaru's dead parents hanging, sending her into a mental breakdown. Komaru stops caring and goes to destroy the device and kill all the children, but Toko knocks it away in the nick of time. Monaca knew this would happen, and with the key to save Byakuya in hand, she's like, who's getting spared? Who do you love more? And Toko's like, option 3, both of them! Suddenly, Big Bang Monokuma comes to say hi, smashing through the building as the room collapses on Monaca. Having to save both the kids and the adults now, Team Lesbian work together one more time and successfully defeat Big Bang Monokuma. After the final boss is taken down, they find out Monaca is still alive, but her legs are actually broken for real this time.
Welcome to the party, pal.
Despite her unforgivable crimes, Komaru spares her and takes her key to finally save Byakuya. The airship crashes and everyone goes their separate ways. Even Nagito returns to give Monaca a piggyback ride away from the scene. Elsewhere, the two bears are revealed to have the AI of Junko's personalities, which then gets stolen by Izuru Kamakura. Komaru agrees to stay so the Future Foundation won't interfere, and she's happy to learn the footage of her parents was fake. Byakuya promises to help them out in return for being saved, and they all continue working together towards a brighter, hopeful future. And that's it. That's the end of the game. If you have any more questions, you can always watch the anime, but you will have to sit through a Valley Girl Junko,
Kamakura, yes, queen!
this guy who sounds like Deku,
Anime is an important part of our culture!
and a Monokuma who doesn't even have the right laugh. Maybe Funimation were the real villains all along.
Finally, now I can sit down and enjoy my maximum pep. Excuse me?